Hello, Talk Funders. Today, we're joined by Craig from CoPeace. Hello, Craig. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Alan. Really appreciate you reaching out, and I'm excited to talk to you about CoPeace.
Okay, my friend. I think you're on mountain time in the States.
Yeah, we in the U.S. we're in what we call a forgotten time zone. So nobody ever knows what time zone we're in, which we kind of like, because then we can be under the radar a little bit.
Okay, cool. Well, listen, Craig. I was nearly going to call you Fergus after your pet dog you were showing me.
Yeah, we Fergus is right here.
But sorry, Craig. Sorry, Craig. Hope you take that the right way, my friend. And so, listen, Craig. Let's look at CoPeace, and I think the best thing to do for the Talk funders and potential viewers is to really look at your homepage, which is a really informative way and a really great way for anybody to come and access what you're about in CoPeace. So I love it, CoPeace and grow your money for good, which sort of gives a nod right away to what CoPeace is all about. And I'll just want to read through this sentence here because I really got a bit lost on it, because it says CoPeace, an impact investing holding company. And then just finish off in the wee subtitle, creative, inclusive, social, impactful wealth for all people. Now, there's a lot in those two sentences. And in fact, if you add in grow your money for good, there's a lot there we can unpack. So I'll hand it over to you, Craig, to begin to unpack some of that.
Yes, thank you, Alan. Yeah, well, we paid some pretty good money to make sure that we were able to make it much more concise, as we're a little bit, we tend to be a little verbose here. But yeah, our tagline is grow your money for good. We think that, it's a good business decision to care about our long-term future of our world. So our mission is to create impactful wealth that also creates meaningful, measurable environmental and social change. As an impact investing holding company, our idea was relatively straightforward. I've been a Berkshire Hathaway shareholder here in the U.S. with Warren Buffett, and been to the Woodstock of capitalism, and liked what their model, but then started not liking at all what they were investing in. So our idea was to take that holding company model and apply it to the ESG-driven impact investing community, assuming honestly that everybody else would be doing it too, because it made so much sense. But it ends up that it's not that easy to do, and it's actually very expensive to do, and legally, regulatorily, financially, it's a difficult process. So we're fortunate that we had the privilege, honestly, of friends and family that had seen us succeed in other things we did and supported us. So we were able to navigate building this foundation, and creating the inclusive, socially impactful wealth for all people is our big idea. So we think that the inequality in our world has continued to grow in schism, and one of the big reasons is because many communities throughout the world don't have access to the game of building equity. So our mission is to be able to educate and provide access and opportunity to people who haven't had that opportunity so far.
Well, okay, there's a lot to talk about there, Craig. So first thing it comes out very clearly is it's not just about the United States. Right? You're global in your outlook. You're globally focused. Fantastic.
Yeah, we're decidedly global. Yeah, in fact, of our first couple investments, one of them is going to be starting with a pilot overseas. So we want to make sure we include everybody on this.
And in terms of a nod to Warren Buffett and the Berkshire Hathaway, you're investing in holding company. It will be also for ordinary retail investors as well as for pension funds, etc.
Correct. We actually have several different concurrent offerings going right now, and one is for accredited and pension side, and the others for retail, non-accredited investors, so everybody can participate.
We'll look at those later on in the deep dive when we look at some of your portfolio offerings. And then the grow your money for good. So this is really, for me, it's a whole new wave of doing business, which is for the social good. It's about social innovation. It's about social enterprise, etc. And I think you mentioned just in your introduction there about giving people access to, is it equity? Is that correct?
Equity, yeah. So yeah, we're providing, real shares and a real cumulative dividend return. So just like you're investing in something on the normal stock market, you're participating in real equity. So yeah, as we did more research and kind of in the ESG and the impact investing side, and we can talk a little bit more what those terms mean. We're seeing especially young people and women driving this change. They're not okay with investing like my parents did, and my parents were extremely socially impactful and justice motivated, and didn't know that they were investing in mutual funds that had 25% oil and gas, 10% for-profit prisons, 10% firearms, and things that they would have been really honestly aghast at supporting, but that was just what everybody did. Now young people have access to information and they're not okay investing in those same vehicles. So we're trying to be an alternative.
And we will, in this, just scrolling down on your website, there is this whole section of what is impact investing, and we'll look at that in a later deep dive. You mentioned the ESG, which is environmental, social goals. Is that correct?
Government. So yeah, environmental, social, and government. So it's just more of a kind of data-driven approach. So you're including a multiple bottom line.
So we'll look at that in the deep dive. But really, this is a really great part of your website here, which is really bringing together in a really clear and concise way what CoPeace is all about. And I immediately, my eyes are drawn to the three elements which I can get. It's your head, it's your heart, and maths. So can we just break those three elements down, please?
Yeah, so we wanted to kind of make sure we told our story in a way that was understandable. And the head plus the heart plus the math approach just kind of came to us as something that synthesizes it well. The head, is it a good business idea? We've looked at about 150 ideas so far, and there's a lot of good ones out there, which is great. Heart, does it truly have the impact that we can measure and communicate and transparently let our community know about? And that's a big part of it. We have a lot of thoughts on the impact measurement because we've seen quite a bit of paralysis on the measurement side, and we're used to getting things done. So we just try to transparently tell our story. And then a lot of it really does honestly come down to the math. For us, for this business, and for us to invest in the company, it has to have a sustainable future and a path to growth and profitability, so that it fits in our portfolio and it has the chance to grow your money for good as a potential investor. So that's kind of our overview. We have a lot of machinery behind the scenes. We've got a strong finance team that kind of puts it through this filter, but that's the overview.
And we'll look at actually elements of your team later in the backstory. But I just love that about the head, the heart, and maths, to really look at sustainable, profitable businesses that are operating for the social good and the environmental, social, and government good. So fantastic. And I just will view your portfolio, and I've clicked on it already. And I just want to highlight one of your portfolio here. If you just so this is where people will land when they click on the portfolio tab. And the one that I want to highlight with yourself, Craig, is one called Unchartered Power, and it says Power Redefined. So that's a really interesting, catchy title here. So can we talk through this here, please, Craig?
Yeah, thank you, Alan. So of the 150 we've looked at, a lot of companies more on the environmental side have been easier for us to measure, the head plus the heart plus the math, honestly, and to kind of percolate it up. Uncharted Power is a great story, we think, because it hits a lot of the UN SDGs. It was launched by an incredible Black woman run business in New York, and they're bringing power, cloud storage, 5G to communities that don't have access to the grid. So it's got the clear impact, it's got some social impact, and it's got some environmental impact, because they're trying to do it in a very clean way. So we're excited about this particular investment of ours.
Well, my immediate response as a TalkFunder is, could I interview her?
She's spectacular. This is an interesting story as well for us, because a lot of us come from the world of sport, and it was some of our NBA basketball connections that introduced us to this, and people like like Magic Johnson, for example, is on the board of directors, and Chris Paul, who's an NBA superstar, is also an investor in the company. So it's this one's a win-win.
Great.
And very honestly, you know, in this game, you have to be very careful, and sometimes you have to be a little bit lucky. And the fact that we picked a clean, sustainable infrastructure investment ends up being a good decision through this pandemic, because you know, it's looking quite promising for them right now.
Great. And then just returning back to your landing page, your homepage here, we'll just scroll down, and then this is one sense will just help investors, new investors, look at you begin to understand really how they can become engaged with CoPeace. So it says here, join our community of like-minded investors, show your commitment to making a positive impact, and investments starting from only $360 US. Yeah,
we need to update this, because our share growth has actually occurred as our crowdfunding has been going on, and the minimum price is a little bit higher because we're able to grow our share price slightly, but we have the ability for everybody to participate in our crowdfunding campaign, and it's been you know, pretty successful so far. I think our story isn't the normal distillery, brewery, widget type story that's kind of easy for everybody to understand. But I think once they get under the cover and realize that we are creating, you know, real change, and we're using business to do that in a you know, fair way, it's a relatively unique approach.
And you're actually hosting this campaign yourselves, is that correct?
So this one is we're partnering with WEFUNDER in the US, which is we're a public benefit corporation legally, which allows us to protect our stakeholder community as much as our shareholder community, which I think is very important. And then we're also a certified B Corp, and WeFunder is also. So you can go to WeFunder and find us there right now.
Well, I'll put
not for much longer.
Okay, I'll put the link up for the WeFunder in the video descriptions below, so people can come and look at that as well.
Cool.
And
thank you.
Can you just say what is certified B Corporation? What does that mean, Craig?
So it's a global kind of stamp of approval that says you're walking the walk in the sustainable world. It's very, very difficult to achieve. It's quite the process. And as a finance company, we didn't fit the mold very well. So it was a lot of discussion, but we actually use B Corp in our evaluation of when we were trying to look at companies, and we have a lot of mission alignment. So we like them a lot. It was a strenuous process, but I think, you know, some of the B Corps that people know internationally are like Patagonia, Danone, and there's a couple others that are starting to, Ben & Jerry's ice cream here in the United States, that are starting to get some notoriety, and we just think it was the right thing for us to do.
Okay. I love Ben & Jerry's. So
Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Yeah, I've got a bit of belly by probably eating too many Ben & Jerry's. So let's just work our way through your video here, which is really good. And it's you know, it really does introduce some of your current themes. So this one, if you can't see, it doesn't exist. What does that mean, Craig? If you can't see, it doesn't exist.
Well, I think that's been the past was that you know, the problem was if you couldn't see something immediately, it doesn't exist. So we're trying to argue that some of this unseen cost is something that has been damaging our environment in a way that you know, wasn't part of the calculation. So we look at things in kind of what we call a multiple or myriad bottom line approach, where we're trying to include all kinds of things, not just the bottom line. So that's where we're kind of talking about that.
Okay. And then there's new ideas coming in, and as we alluded to earlier in this, it was about new ideas of how we approach the world and solve societal problems is really what that's the arc that we're all in now as global citizens, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the idea of being interconnected in this world is clearly we're in that moment, really.
Yeah, and the problems are deep. I mean, my 27 and 23-year-old blame me and my generation for leaving them a dirty world. So, you know, I agree. I think it's all connected, but you know, the climate emergency and so many other things that are happening socially in our world right now need some change. And if we can affect the change through our approach, it's a good thing.
And just part of the audio in this video is that it just at this part of the video it highlights issues that says that capitalism without a conscience and the status quo is not good enough anymore. So can you talk about that, about, you know, the idea of the capitalism, which I probably grew up with as although I say 50's the new 30, as a 50-plus-year-old, is not working. It's clearly not working anymore. And also the status quo is not good enough. Could you say a little bit about that? And that'll probably help people understand where CoPeace is coming from.
Yeah, and along kind of that same theme of including the total cost. So, I mean, it was easy to just look at the bottom line and not include some of the other things that were happening with the, you know, carbon emissions and everything like that. But if we look at it in a more holistic, interconnected way, like you talked about, then it hasn't been working. But we think it's got the chance to change so that it can affect the change that we need.
And this idea about money, about asking more of your money, you know, because that's really, we've got to that conscious level now where we really know we have to change, and we really, in terms of investing our money, we've really got to ask more without it. And then one aspect of this is margins without mission. And I think that probably also refers to stakeholder value, etc., and that older way of looking at things.
Yeah, and one of our big arguments is that if you look at everything and you kind of completely evaluate the inclusive bottom lines, it is a good business decision to care about the long-term future. So the margins will actually be better if you are more inclusive, which seems like an idealistic idea, but it's we're seeing the data prove it out.
Okay, so okay, can you say a little bit about the use of data then? Just I know, like, what way are you seeing that in terms of data?
Yeah, so the ESG driven kind of data that we're seeing out there is proving kind of our thesis that if you include everything, you have a chance to actually succeed more. And so the funds that have been more inclusive have been in the U.S. especially have been beating, and in Europe and some other places have been beating the normal kind of funds. So that's exciting to us, because then it looks like it's actually happening.
And I think this is a key message, which is like a turning point in the video, but it's also a turning point with your good sales of CoPeace and in society in general. It's basically saying it's not too late, and CoPeace is very much solutions focused to societal problems on a global level, and you're keen to invest people's money into projects, into businesses, products or services which are going to be for the global and societal good. Yeah, and I think this and this second part of this video really shows us, really begins to highlight that.
Yeah, so I mean, we wanted to kind of establish the problem and then say, okay, we do have a climate emergency. We do have a lot of things that are challenging in front of us. But if we get together and kind of harness things in this positive way, we can still do it. I mean, there's not a lot of time to do it, and it's important that we do it. But we can collectively affect the change.
And I love that bit about this question here is posed: where does your money go? So it's really, you know, it's people are trusting you guys at CoPeace to really invest with those ESG, the environmental, the social, and the governance side of things.
Yes. Yeah, and then we think, you know, anytime you're using your money, you're voting with your dollars. So we're trying to make sure we educate all of the above, not only just investments, but some of your other things, your activities that you do.
Now, I don't know if this is you hard at work here, Craig, but
it's part of our team. I'm the guy without any hair there. There's our T. Yeah, no, yeah, we use the kind of the grow your money for good becomes kind of our theme throughout. So our newsletter is called the Seed, our impact report is called the Harvest, and things like that. So we're all about growth.
And it's like, so this is really good. It's going back to, alluding back to what you said about data. You yourselves are measuring positive impact, and part of your own financial modeling will be on measuring that impact and how effective people's money that they will be given to you will have that positive impact.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, well said. Yeah, and on the measurable side, you know, there's a lot of tools out there, and the UN SDGs are helpful, and we kind of compare all our things to that. But then at the end of the day, we just try to be radically transparent and tell the story. So if we're investing in a company that's bringing power and cloud storage and 5G to communities that don't have access to the grid, that's significant impact. If we're taking hazardous waste that's leaching into the groundwater and converting that to energy, that's significant impact. So we kind of combine a story, a narrative, plus the data approach.
And the other key phrase here is more accessible investing. And that's really what you were alluding to earlier at the beginning of the interview regarding the Berkshire Hathaway model of accessible for, the pension funds of this world, et cetera, but also for normal retail investors to be able to invest their hard-earned dollars into your projects, which will have the social good.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, it's great. Companies of peace.
I haven't looked at this video for a while, so I appreciate you going through that. That was kind of cool.
And then just to finish off this main interview, we'll just go up to the top again. Again, I just want to highlight to everybody, I mean, this is the idea of, for normal investors, retail investors, it's join our community of like-minded investors. So in one sense, you are creating a great community here with CoPeace of like-minded individuals. Show your commitment to making a positive impact, which is really good. I think people will feel, that they're doing good with their money that they're wanting to invest. And then again, the investment levels, although because of the success of your fund is already rising, but there's still very much really great opportunity for normal, ordinary people to invest their money. And they should have the assurance that you guys have this three-pronged approach, which I love. It's you're using your head, using your heart, but really based on solid maths and solid data, which is fantastic. And we'll look at the portfolios in the separate interview. But really, I think that's really great. I think we'll just finish off the main interview here. You are live on WeFunder at the moment. However, for this interview as well, you can approach you directly. And if people come to this website and click through here, you'll have Invest Now. And this just brings people really to a landing page where they can just put in their just general details, and a member of your team will be in contact with them in due course. Can I just ask, is this for American investors, or what type of investor at the moment are you looking to engage with?
Actually, our crowdfunding is global as well. So we've had investors from all continents except for Antarctica, I believe. So we've had it, which is really cool, because that's exactly what we want to do. So I think our last couple investors were from Australia, Canada, there's Hong Kong, and then several from the U.S. But it's a very good variety. I think the other thing that we're trying to do is engage our community, and we're providing the real voting shares, so the community actually has influence in where we go from here, so that we poll everybody and say, okay, what kind of investments should we consider? We've got things in front of us. So thank you, Alan. Thanks for letting me.
Right, thank you very much.
CoPeace.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'll just go back to the homepage. So just to finish off the main interview. So thank you, Craig from CoPeace. Live on WeFunder at the moment. The links will be in the description below. Alternatively, you can come directly to the CoPeace website and click on the Invest Now button. Thank you so much, Craig. Cheers, mate.
Thank you, Alan. Yeah, it was my pleasure.
Bye now. Great.